Hey Alexa, I've probably spent way too long trying to set this up, and this is probably the best I'll be able to do. I've had a bunch of troubles, but hopefully everything will work this time. Now, I did my paper on the shortcomings of the foster care system, so for my presentation, I decided to take you guys on a journey through it. Now, it's very much still a work in progress. It's not as pretty as yours, but this is my topic. Alright. So, moving on. Sandpaper. Now, why is it there? It's there because, well, at the very start of the foster care system, in fact, before most kids even enter the foster care system, they've had a rough start, similar to sandpaper. In fact, most kids have gone through a lot already just by the age of 8 years old. Now, these kids come to the foster care system because, well, 5% of them have come in because their parents have died. 30% of them enter the foster care system because their parents are convicted criminals and can no longer take care of them from jail. And 65% of them enter because they have abusive parents. And of those 65% that have abusive parents, 4,500 of them run away. And as you can see here, if you want a visual graphic for my visual learners, that's what those statistics look like. Now, for those kids, those 4,500 that live on the streets, it's very, very dangerous. Lots of the kids, before they come, they have been raped. Lots of the times they have been victims of human trafficking. Lots of times they've been exposed to drugs, and since they're young and homeless, they're perfect new members for gang members. Now, let's compare some responsibilities. I know most of my audience is probably a young adult, and I think most people can agree that the transition from being a high schooler to becoming a responsible young adult was never easy. I mean, you finally had to, buy your own groceries, manage what you eat, feed yourself. You had to keep a roof over your own head. You have to manage school now on top of that. And lots of young adults, not all, but lots of them have a job. And if we compare that to the responsibilities a foster child has to take on, they're actually surprisingly similar. They too have to feed themselves if their parents were neglecting them before they came into the foster care system. They had to find their own shelter if, shelter wasn't available for them, which is common. And they also had to manage school. Now, most of them don't have a job, but still, that's a lot of responsibility for someone who's so young. And that's not a good childhood. So, the CPS workers finally take you, or the foster care kid, into the organization. Think about everything that they lose just moving into the system. They lose all the friends that they've had before, and they're being placed into a brand new environment that's unfamiliar to them. On top of that, many of them have siblings, which are one of the most important relationships to have in your life, even if they bother us sometimes, and they're separated from them. And this makes it really hard to develop social skills, which will be a running issue. Now, you might be wondering what this graphic means. Well, it means that... Oh, well, stupid me did it the wrong way. It's supposed to be the other way around. But it's supposed to show that there are more foster kids than there are foster homes. There are a huge lack of foster homes in America. In fact, in 2014, there were 415,000 children in the foster care system. And there were only enough to house 32% of those children. And keep in mind, most foster homes foster on average 2.5 kids. And even averaging 2.5 kids per home, there are not even close to enough homes in America. Now, this is the problem, because obviously there aren't enough homes, but when there are homes, foster care employees work really hard and really quickly to get kids in the home. And their desperation to get people in their homes, sometimes they get a little sloppy. And lots of the times they fail to do background checks like they should, and they leave kids in an even more neglectful home than they were in before. And also, there are a lot of foster parents that are only in it for the compensation from the government. Because the government does need more foster homes, and as a result, they pay you a pretty penny to foster a child, between $400 and $700, and as a result, some people treat the kids with as little money as possible, that way they can make a profit. Now, this urgency in housing has caused 15% of foster children to have been abused by their host family. 10% of them report abuse from their own foster siblings, and they're 42% more likely to die compared to a normal kid their age. So, let's say we finally find a foster home, which takes quite a bit of time. In the first 6 months, expect to have changed your home at least once, and over the course of a year, it's not uncommon to move over 3 times, as you can see on the graphic on screen. So why is that? Why is that? Well, it's because most foster parents are unprepared. In fact, most foster homes are first-time foster homes, because the government is doing a good job of getting new people into fostering kids. But as a result, a lot of them are unprepared. Remember, these kids have a troubled past. Most of them have experienced trauma, and on top of that, 10% of these kids have disabilities, which makes it even harder to raise. On top of that, they all have social issues, which, once again, a running theme. And all of this can be a lot for a parent to deal with, especially if they're unprepared. Now, what effects does this have on the child? Plenty. They often feel a lack of control over their life. They constantly are moving, so as a result, once again, they can't build social skills. And this constant moving also teaches them that building social skills are not worth it, because those relationships that have been built will mean nothing in a few weeks once they move. This lack of social skills, this becomes important because they're less likely to conform to societal's laws. They're more likely to act up because they don't feel any embarrassment or any shame in doing so. They have no social, they don't have enough social presence to understand that. And as a result, they are extremely antisocial, and they have oppositional defiance disorder. And, they manifest themselves, I said the wrong thing, but they manifest themselves in, those disorders. They manifest themselves in antisocial personality disorder and oppositional defiance disorder. Now, ideally, my cards got mixed up. No, they didn't. Just kidding. Alright, ideally, the foster care system only really wants you to spend 6 months to a year before reuniting with your family or before getting adopted, but this is far from the reality of it. In reality, the average time spent in the foster care system is a year and a half. And remember, of those 415,000 that I mentioned earlier, 64,300 of them spend 3 or more years in the foster care system. 28,000 of them spend 5 or more years, and another 20,000 never leave the system. And on top of that, of all the ones that get to leave, 30% of them 30% of them re-enter the system within a year. Lord, keep on, making my cards fly over the place. Whoopsie. Alright. Moving on. So what does life after the foster care system look like for someone who's in it? Well, not great. 50% of them become adults. 50% of them graduate the foster care system without graduating from high school, and many become homeless. On top of that, 80% of all people who are in jail are people who were formerly in the foster care system. So they're not doing too well. Now, keep in mind this is a really janky conclusion. I was kind of rushing this. The conclusion that we can come to is that the United States absolutely can do better, and they must do better. Social skills are extremely important to work life. You can't just be smart in life, because you have to work with people. And if the future of the United States can't socialize, the future of the United States will be troubled. So we need to do better for these kids for the sake of our nation. Okay, that's my presentation. Ooh, I think I was right on the money for time too. Maybe I was a little bit short. But I think she said 10 to 15 minutes. When I looked at your... Sorry, I'm just rambling on now. I was looking at your messages that you sent, and your slides are, for the most part, pretty beautiful, and mine are pretty ugly. So that's definitely something I should work on too. But anyways, yeah, that's my presentation. Thanks, Alexa.